We know that Jamie Foxx, comedian, actor, singer, who suffered a stroke within the last several months, who continues to have a long road ahead when it comes to recovery, he now has some added issues that he's going to have to navigate. So over the weekend, the same time period where this Montgomery brawl took place, Jamie Foxx apologized to the Jewish community after accusations that he posted an anti-Semitic post. Now, what was the post? They killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? And this is important. Hashtag fake friends. Hashtag fake love. Now, for black folk, and I'll use I statements. For me, when I read that, because I caught the backlash. I didn't see the initial post. I saw the backlash from white folk like Jennifer Aniston. I saw the backlash from folk who identify as Jewish. I saw the backlash from black folk who said this is a anti-Semitic, because they said it's common knowledge that folk attribute the death of Jesus to Jewish people. First time I've ever heard that. Why? Because I don't travel in these spaces. I'm not a part of religious studies. I don't have a background in that. I don't have any friends that are Jewish, as far as I know, where we can have these conversations where this might come up. But what I do know is within the black church, when you say they killed this dude named Jesus, we know who they is referencing. They is referencing this boy named Judas. We know exactly what it is. And to offer more context, when we see fake friends, that's exactly who he's talking about. And fake love, that's exactly who he's talking about. He's talking about Judas. And so that's where we're talking about these governance structure conversations. And governance structure is understanding amongst black folk in different areas. It's the reason why we could look at somebody and be in the same situation and just look, and we automatically know exactly what they're talking about. It's governance structure. And other cultures have that as well, I'm sure. I'm sure the Jewish community have something that they recognize that they don't even have to say words about, that they know what it is. And so for us, when we hear about fake friends and killing Jesus, we automatically ascribe that to who? To Judas. And so he came out and apologized and clarified what many black folk knew all along. And when we talk about this idea of black protectionism, we saw it in the physical form when it came to protecting his brother who was being assaulted, where they were legitimately attempted to murder this black man, 4 to 5 white folk kicking and stomping and punching on the black man. So hopefully they come. Again, I don't advocate for the justice system, but if they were charged with attempted murder, I would understand why. Black folk came to the rescue of Jamie Foxx. They came to protect Jamie Foxx and said, "Hey, nuance matters. Cultural awareness and cultural understanding matters." And this highlights how and why there is no we in America. How we're fragmented. Now I use we just then to highlight the fragmentation that takes place in America. You have different sects. You got black folk, you got Jewish folk who have multiple identities. Jewish folk, you could be Jewish, and then you still can fall under the veil of whiteness. You can still lean in on that, which this is definitely shown in a situation like this. But it highlights this lack of understanding and why there will never be a we. Because even if I was a Jewish individual and this came up, the issue is the accusatory nature that some folk took and ran with, like Jennifer Aniston. Antisemitic, which we know in America specifically, because I don't know how they give it up in other places. We know that's a death nail. If you're accused of being anti-Semitic, whether you are or not, that can pretty much be the end of your career. And I'll get into that and why Jamie and how I think that influenced Jamie Foxx's apology. But instead of being accusatory, this could have been an opportunity to ask for additional information. Well, what you mean by this, family? Well, you know what? Talking about how Judas betrayed Jesus, which in his apology he highlighted, talking about a friend of his who he recognized wasn't a real friend. And potentially this Jewish individual, the Jewish community, could have been like, oh, okay. Because you know what? When we hear this is what comes up for us, which is how we've been attributed as being the murderers of Jesus. A teachable moment, a conversation that takes place between two groups. For what? For better understanding. But that's just not the space that we operate from. Again, I'm using we just because I don't feel like finding another word. That's not a space that we operate from here in America. And dare I say abroad. I sat and thought about as to whether Jamie Foxx should have apologized. Now, I understand why he apologized. Because he's where? He's in what? He's in Hollywood. And I just said it could be a death sentence for your career if you attempt to double down in any way. But I also thought this was room for that apology. Some people call it a fake apology. Where it's, I'm sorry you took that way. Right? Because that's not necessarily accountability. I don't think he needed to take accountability in this situation for anything. But this was an opportunity for, well, I'm sorry you misunderstood it. I apologize that you took it wrong. And then went on to say, because this is what I meant. I thought that would have been completely appropriate in this situation. But we know the power of that certain communities have. And we don't gotta, and I know some folk might feel you're going to get canceled for this. Well, I don't believe in cancel culture. I'm going to be where I need to be. But I can't help and look with my own two eyes as to what happens when certain communities are disrespected, or there's belief that a certain community was disrespected in comparison to other communities. Because hell, Bill Maher still got a job on HBO, correct? When he said the N-word in jest. So we recognize that the rules ain't the same. And it doesn't make you anti-Semitic for pointing that out. It's just highlighting certain truisms that exist under the auspices of white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism. It's the game. It's the game.